Hello, everyone. We are back once again to talk about the last week of Big Brother 23. We are not waiting like 2 weeks again, like last time to catch up. And here, this is a big deal, Allie. This is about the point where I stopped last season. So we are officially diving headfirst into all things Big Brother 23. This is a much better season.
The season has been so good so far, and I'm just really enjoying it. And there's only a very few people I don't
Yeah. But I forgot to ask, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I had a day off from work and also 2 days off. And
I have almost every day off from work because they only one day.
Balls.
Oh shit, me too.
I got
like we planned that.
Ooh, I got them from Costco today, and
I got them from Walgreens.
It makes me think of when I went to Pittsburgh and I was eating cheese balls.
A lot more things happened than that. But that's another video. That's another video. Let's get into this week. Also, misleading thumbnail. I'm sorry, Jenn was not able to join for this one.
Yeah,
we are going to try.
I'm pretty sure she fell asleep because she does go to sleep early. But so we can just have her on like next round.
Yeah, or the next try to have her on for next week for sure. But let's get into this week. What did you think of this week overall?
I mean, it was definitely a very simple week, just like the last couple rounds, but it was still pretty good, and I definitely enjoyed it. I'm just excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I really like this week a lot. And the thing is, like, sure, it was straightforward, but I feel like it was the least straightforward of the other weeks that we've had, because for a while I really didn't know where things were overall going to go in terms of this vote. But I guess we'll get right into it. So Christian, we see, is ecstatic over winning HOH. We know that he, of course, won HOH, and the Kings are remaining in power. And we see how Xavier talks about how, despite his HOH being successful, he knows heading into the week that the main target is either Whitney or Hannah. And he's hoping it can go in his favor towards Whitney, obviously, because Hannah is a cookout member. And I know we talked about this like before getting on the call, but the house target thing, that's been a big narrative of the season. I feel like it's a little less pronounced this week because
I definitely think it's a good thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I just don't want the whole season to just have house targets just because it makes it a little too predictable. I definitely want it, like, jury stage to be more like fluid.
Yeah, I think that this week, like, already, it's a little less prominent than the previous weeks, especially because of the fact that, like, there's a handful of people this week, and we can get more into it, that want Hannah out, but there's also a handful of people that want Whitney out, and I like that. We're starting to see the makings, I think, of a split house. And I definitely do enjoy that a lot. I think those are what I've always said. I think the best Big Brother seasons are ones that are like split houses and things like that. Definitely, Sean. I agree. Definitely. Frenchie favorite. And we definitely want Derek F to win the whole thing for sure.
Oh gosh. I mean, Derek F is entertaining, but
sure. Speaking of Derek F, him and Azah are both a bit disappointed because Derek especially really wanted to win. And now he's sure that he's probably going up this week. Azah's also unsure how to feel about Christian being HOH. And again, these two just continue to disappoint me. Like, I feel like Derek F, his strategy just isn't making any sense. Nothing he does ends up making sense. And then Azah's just, she's too nice. She's too nice for Big Brother. We said
really
I firmly do believe that she is too nice for Big Brother, and I think that's what's ultimately going to kill her game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I do really like her a lot. She definitely isn't made for this game, but I can see her making it like early or mid jury.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that she has no real agency at this point in terms of her overall game. And especially what they like decide to show with her this week really says a lot about how she's playing, which is not very good. She's just very disappointing. I like her. I like her DRs. I think she seems like a really nice person. I think she's very entertaining. But as a game player, I'm just not getting a lot from her, and it's disappointing because I think she's really good. But I've heard people say this, and I'll probably agree. She's the kind of person that's a fan of Big Brother that isn't built for Big Brother. Like, she watches the show, but she's not really someone that plays the game because she's just so nice and things like that. So I think that is what ultimately is going to hurt her. But Tiffany, meanwhile, is very annoyed because they wanted to target Christian and Alyssa next week, but now she has to maintain royal flush overall. She needs to make sure she keeps that intact. And that's not going to last very long. This is definitely the last week of Royal Flush for sure. I think it was pretty apparent.
Honestly, Royal Flush was literally just like a voting block.
Pretty much. I mean, I think it was pretty apparent that like Royal Flush was probably going to crumble very soon. But basically, Claire makes it clear she will absolutely be playing in this week's wild card. She has to win and is worried that she could be a potential pawn this week if the right people end up winning safety. And we get the most of Claire that I think we've seen in the entire season. This one episode, and I was happy about that. But Claire's another one where I need her to be doing more. I need her to be making more moves, and I don't really think she's contributing to much.
I really like her a lot. Like, she's one of my favorites, but
she's one of us. So like,
she's really playing very low key and under the radar right now. I hope by jury, if she makes it there, I hope she definitely like can be a little more. She'll do a little more.
I just need more from her. Like, I just need her to start doing things for the betterment of her and not just like agreeing with what other people are saying, because the majority of her game, that's kind of all I've been getting from her. And I hope that can change soon. But like I said, I like that she was a little bit more active this week. But we see DX and Hannah talk, and they're sure this is not a good week for them, especially for their team overall. DX is very unsure whether or not he needs to stick with Royal Flush or if he needs to fight hard for the aces to stay. So you can see that he's in like a really bad spot this week either way. And basically, Hannah knows she's probably going up, but she's hoping to steer Christian in another direction. And I think Hannah puts in some amazing work this week. Like, absolutely. Yes. Hannah really impressed me this week for sure. She's been impressing me, but I think this week especially
she's been doing so
like how good of a player she is.
Oh, yeah.
But basically, Derek F. and Whitney are talking things over, and Whitney is someone that I feel like has been pretty much invisible in this game. Like, I've gotten absolutely nothing from her. I
just don't really like her because she is kind of problematic.
Oh, I don't either. I don't like her either because of that. But I also just think she's really boring. And this week, like, she finally gets stuff to do. But basically, they're talking things over, and she's unsure what Christian is really going to do, especially with all the house targets seemingly gone. And Christian, we see, doesn't really know what he's going to do this week. And we get this moment with the Kings. They're talking things over, and they say they want to stick with the same plan, but they don't know who is the actual target at this point. And this is really where we start to see a bit of a divide here, because while we see Xavier is really pushing for Whitney, you have SB and Alyssa on the other side really thinking that Hannah is the bigger and the better target this week. And I don't know about you. For me, this is what's going to ruin Sarah Beth's game, is her throwing Hannah under the bus, but especially doing it so upfront, you know, when the man.
I mean, it's definitely like smart because Sarah Beth is playing really smart and very strategic, and she has been like playing really hard. But I mean, the best thing for her is to team up with Hannah, or at least try and work with her.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is like she could have done that. But I feel like the time for that to happen was like, the time for that to happen was, a while ago. I just don't think now is the right time overall. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that was something that she definitely could have pushed for, but I think in the manner in which she targets Hannah this week, I just don't think there's any coming back from this, with especially just like how adamant she was about her going. So I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. So yeah, but you, like I said, you can really see like how divided the Kings are, and I like that. I like seeing that this is really the time they're not on the same page. And Xavier, especially, you can see it's very hard for him because he wants to rally to keep Hannah, but he has to be careful of his connection. He doesn't want to expose, the cookout or anything like that. And I think he handled the week pretty well overall, but I do think we, especially after this week, are starting to see that he's getting a little too close to the Kings, and he kind of needs to make a choice between the two.
Yeah, he needs to, once the team's twist is over, he's going to have to make a choice.
Which, spoilers, that's very soon.
Spoilers! But DX opens up to some of the house guests about how tough it was when he was younger to make connections, which was this was honestly a really sweet moment. And he lived in an immigrant household in China, and the U.S. has a completely different cultural value, so he's never really been that close with his parents. And Azah also relates to this because of her African descent, which she for the longest time wasn't proud of, but now embraces who she is. And Derek hopes he can depict the Asian American community in a better light, which I thought this moment was just really inspiring.
Yeah, I liked this a lot. I think that again, it's one of those things where this is why we need a more diverse cast, because we get to hear stories like this that we normally don't. I really liked the way that DX, really opened up about his family life and things like that. Also, Mike for the win. I'm just going to say that right now.
Mike for the win.
Yes, period. I think that overall this was a really good moment for DX. I really do like that we got to see something like this. And again, I think it says a lot about the season overall. So really good moment, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah.
At the wildcard drawing, which is also the last one of the season.
Thank God.
Right? Most of the picks have already been decided, and Claire will be competing for the queen since everyone else has already gone. Whitney is also competing for the aces, and Azah for the jokers. The competition involves an olive, a toothpick, and many wine glasses. The house guests have to take their olive from the bottom of the glass and roll it onto the toothpick without rolling off the beam. And when I was watching this, I was getting anxiety. It looks super hard.
Oh yeah, I thought the narration didn't help either. Like, this very quiet narration the whole time.
I know.
Speaking, I'm like, who is this woman? Like, it sounded like fucking Elena from Big Brother 19, and I'm like, I know it's not her.
Not Elena.
That's who it sounded like. Literally, like it sounded.
Elena is racist.
Oh, she is. But it sounded just like her. And I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, I enjoyed this comp overall. It was different, and I really liked the way it did end up playing out here, especially with what ended up happening, what happened.
And after a bit of a tough struggle, Claire does successfully win, which I'm very happy about. She finally won a challenge, and she is actually proving to herself that she's doing more. But hopefully this will keep on going.
Yeah. I thought this was a great moment for Claire, because up to this point, she has not really gotten to show her comp prowess, I think. And here she really did. And I think this was really the moment where, we saw, when Claire needs to win a comp, she can fucking do it. And I want to see more of this. I want to see Claire win more comps. I want to see her really come alive. I think she really can. But this leads to probably the most interesting wildcard decision so far that she ends up getting here.
Yeah. The twist this week is a bit less complicated this time around, and if Claire chooses the safety, she can either choose safety for her entire team, or she will be safe until jury. So, but in that time, she is also unable to cast a vote.
Yeah, now this one's really interesting to me because I feel like the other wild card ones we've had, they've been like these very like complex sort of ideas where they're not going to choose it. Like no rational person, unless if maybe Frenchie won the wild card. I don't think anyone would end up choosing it, especially the one last week where it was like you had to give safety to like one member from each team. Like that's so chaotic. I don't know.
That's insane.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked this one a lot more. I feel like it's a decision that like is kind of tough because on one hand it's like, okay, I'm saving myself for 2 weeks, but then the other hand it's like, oh, am I betraying my team? So I think this is actually probably the best one so far because there's so many pros and cons for both of them. But I think it was pretty obvious what she was going to do here.
I definitely I think with what she decides to do, it's probably what I would do too, because this is what we're always looking for in a game. We have to protect ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right. If Claire chooses the safety, was that right?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Unsure where she really stands in the house, Claire ultimately decides to take the safety for herself and immediately securing a spot within the jury. So she is officially safe for 2 weeks, which is definitely the best thing for her.
This is how I look at it. It's good for her and it's bad for her. It's good for her because she has an official spot in the jury. It's bad for her because if she doesn't do anything in that time, she's getting voted out as the first person of the jury. So, like, I don't know if this is the greatest thing for her. I think right now it was good for her to take that safety. It was good for her to take that advantage. So she's good for a little bit, especially because, she kind of feels like she's not in the greatest spot. But I feel like she needs to put a lot more work in. And I feel like throughout the rest of this week, she's just kind of chilling after this.
Yeah.
She needs to not do that. I think she still needs to try to play the game. And I'm really worried that, like, she's going to get to jury and she's going to be the first one out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm very worried that's what's going to happen. But
yeah, I mean... Obviously, like, with the safety, it's good for her, but I'm worried as well, just because, like, I don't want her to get, targeted just for being safe like this.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that doesn't happen, but I feel like it very well could.
Yeah. She just has to be really careful.
Yeah.
Kyland and Tiffany are thrilled she took it, even if it may jeopardize their games.
Yes.
And the Royal Flush talk things over, and everyone thinks no matter what happens, Whitney should be on the block this week. Sarah Beth once again really tries to push hard for Hannah to go here, and Tiffany, on the other hand, feels Britini is the biggest threat to both of their teams at the moment, considering both Kyland and Xavier have put her up. It seems this is really the first thing that could doom the Royal Flush overall.
Yeah, and once again, just brilliant work from Tiffany here, her really trying to, like, get into their ear because she knows she's not good with Britini. She knows that. She knows that Britini is someone that she isn't really on good terms with overall, and she kind of wants Britini out in that way. So I think it's really good how, like, she tried to tell them, like, maybe Britini is the way to go here. Meanwhile, you have Sarah Beth once again just rallying so hard for Hannah, but I don't know how she couldn't just, like, read the room and get the sense that, like, nobody wants to go for Hannah. Like, Hannah's not the target this week.
Yeah.
So again, I think that that's really what is going to end up hurting. I do think that's what's going to end up overall hurting, Sarah Beth overall. Is just her just constantly targeting Hannah as hard as she is this week.
Mm-hmm. She needs to be more, like, low-key later on.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, also, I can't see any of the comments on Facebook. So if I'm not pulling them up, that is why we are not pulling them up, because I cannot see them right now.
Oh, no.
But I can maybe fix that. For some reason, they're just not coming up here. Info. It says it's public on Facebook, so I don't know why it's not doing that.
Oh, no.
Weird. Sarah Beth overall is just her. That's me talking.
Your voice is cute.
Constantly targeting Hannah as hard as she is this.
I'm just I'm always mesmerized by you.
Me too.
Christian meets with the Jokers. Anyway, Christian meets with the Jokers to gain some clarity about where he stands with them. They feel Whitney absolutely is the biggest threat left within the house and was coming hard for the Kings. Most of what they say is untrue and is more of a ploy to keep themselves safe. But this proves to be successful as Christian does.
There we go.
What?
I found the comments.
Yay!
Yes.
But this proves to be successful as Christian does decide to go for the aces and nominate Whitney and Hannah.
Yeah, and I think this was the right move for him. I do. I think overall, Whitney and Hannah was definitely the best play. I do think Hannah made some really good points here overall. And I do think that ultimately, she did a pretty good job in trying to campaign to Christian. But I think at this point, he had his nom set in stone. He pretty much knew what he was going to do. And it wasn't a terrible HOH week for him. I thought this was going to be a really disastrous HOH, but I don't think he made the wrong move here. I think that this was the right call to put up these two for sure.
Yeah. For his game, it was definitely the smartest.
Yeah.
Even though he's basically Alyssa's puppet.
I mean, yeah. Pretty much.
He's comp, she's social.
Yeah. But that's everything to talk about on Sunday. Let's get into Wednesday here, where we see that DX is shocked to see Hannah already nominated. He didn't think that she was going to go up this week, and he's very worried that this is going to hurt his game, is her going. And that's definitely a valid concern to have. And we see the Kings are talking things over, and Sarah Beth still believes Hannah's the better target, and she wants to fight hard for the veto, so she's going to go home. And Christian does believe that Whitney going home is best for his game, though, especially after Hannah's pitch, which basically, she talked about how she wasn't going to put him up in future weeks as a pawn. So again, you can see that Hannah's putting in really good work here, even if Hannah isn't actually going to stay true to what she said. It is, having an effect on Christian's decision. He's like, Hannah's definitely the pawn here. I think beforehand he was like, oh, it could really go either way. I don't really care. Now it's like, no, Hannah absolutely is the pawn. I need Hannah to stay. So I really think she's doing a good job in putting into the game. And I liked what she was able to do here. But again, Sarah Beth, just let it go. Hannah's
I know.
It's not happening.
She was just she was playing very aggressively.
But she doesn't fully own it this week either, especially when you get to the end of the week with what she ultimately ends up doing, which we'll talk about. I just don't understand why she pushed so hard for her if she wasn't gonna go through with it.
Well, I guess she just also thinks she's after her as well, but
yeah,
they just need to talk and try and work together.
Yeah. So Hannah talks to Christian, and he assures her that she is the pawn this week, and that the best thing she needs to do is just lay low. She needs to chill. She needs to lay low. She's going to be fine if she does that. But she knows that she can't do that. She's not someone that's going to lay low. She's going to fight hard. And that is what I want to see. When you're on the block, especially if you don't believe that you're safe, fucking fight. And Hannah really fights hard, and I think that's really going to help her in this game. I think Hannah is someone that probably is going to be targeted more than just this week. I definitely see her getting on, not anytime soon, but I do think Hannah's someone that is a real fighter in the game, and I think she also, is really able to talk people out of doing things, and I think she really did end up doing that this week very well. So
she pulled this week off really well.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we get another segment of Whitney and Xavier. Up to this point, all we know about Whitney is that she wears this weird like sweatshirt that's like very revealing. They did a whole segment about it. I didn't include it because I didn't think it was important, but for some reason,
I wanted to talk about it. When I was watching this, I was like, why is this a segment?
Yeah, I don't know why they showed that and not her talking about like Sandy Hook not being real. I feel like that's probably a little bit more important than her just like wearing a like slightly revealing outfit to the gym. I don't think that's all that important, but apparently they thought it was. But we find out that Whitney and Xavier have become really good friends in the house. And I like that we saw this because we actually did get to see like kind of where Whitney's head is at. And basically he goes to talk to her initially to see how she's feeling about being nominated, but we see the conversation shifts quickly to her potentially throwing out the names of his teammates if she was in fact HOH, which she did do. She claims that she didn't, but she did in fact do it, and she says that she would never throw him specifically on the block. I honestly think she should have just owned this. I really do. I think at this point she was like, she's a dead woman walking. I don't think there's any
pretty much.
Especially with Xavier, like you're already on his radar. If you just own it, like I think he'd respect that more. And I think it was pretty obvious that she was lying here. So I think this was a really bad mistake for Whitney. I think ultimately the goal in this, like her downfall in this game, amongst a lot of things, is that she really did not start playing the game until this week. Like there really wasn't much that she was doing. And I think that she had already made some pretty bad calls and like had some bad reads on things. And I think it was really just kind of like catching up to her here. But
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I like that she's actually campaigning, but like, I just don't like her.
It's not so much that she's campaigning. It's that I think she campaigned too late. I think a lot of what she was proposing, like she should have done way earlier in the game, and she really didn't. But she does go to Christian, says that she knows why she's on the block, that she never threw their names out, and she's pretty clear that she's his target at this point. She's upset since she thought she was good with their team overall, which my question to you is, if you thought you were good with their team, why the fuck did you propose to fucking Derek X and Hannah that you wanted them out? It's not making sense, Whitney. It's really not making sense. But anyway, the worst part of this entire episode is they harp on this stupid thing that I don't think is really that important, but because
we
got to have this stupid storyline in here of Azah talking about how Whitney has been a target for her since week 1. And this could have been about anything. I thought this was going to be about the fucking Sandy Hook thing. I thought it was going to be about that. But no, it's some other stupid thing where basically she has a middle school crush on her and Xavier, and she doesn't want to share it because
this is Big Brother. It's not Love Island.
Yeah, her and Xavier are really close. She seems to like have a thing for him. I just don't know why they harped on this so much. I feel like this wasn't really that big of a
it was just a really irrelevant segment, just like the Whitney one.
Oh yeah, I feel like this was just here because they needed something for Azah, and this is what I'm talking about when I say like,
it was probably just filler, really, for the episode.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say like Azah's just not really impressing me much. This is what they decide to give her. It like, you know, it says a lot. It says a lot.
I mean, I love you.
I love you as well. That this is not Love Island.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we then get this cheesy. Was so fucking
cheesy.
She goes ahead and just tells him about it, and he talks about how and this is why I thought this was like completely irrelevant. He's like, well, I don't want to showmance. So why did you show this? Like, what's the point? What is the point of showing this? As Xavier doesn't even feel the same way, and Azah talks about how she wants to gun hard.
No-mance.
Yeah, she wants to gun hard for the veto, especially since the Joker is probably going up if one of Whitney or Hannah win. Again, this was all Alison Grodner's doing, I think. She's always been obsessed with, like, showmances. She's always been obsessed with that narrative and things like that. And I don't think you can do that, Zach. I really don't think you can. I don't know how that's going to work, but have at it, I guess. Anyway. No, but
speaking of Zach, we all have, well, me, Jesse, and Zach were I remember a while back we were planning an Orlando meetup. Now we have to bring in you and Mike for that.
Yes, we do have to do that.
Because for like next year.
For sure. But yeah, I mean with Azah here, I just think that in general, they've been obsessed with this whole showman's thing, and I just don't understand why this was such a big thing for her. What I do like is her saying that she wants to gun really hard for this veto, especially since a Joker is probably going to go up if one of Whitney or Hannah win, which is the case, I think. I think Britini probably would have gone up here because I think that she's probably the target. I don't think she's the target. I think they would have ensured that whoever's left on the block goes home. And I think putting Britini on the block ensures that that person goes home. So I do think it was the right play for her to do that. Again, I just don't know why we were harping so much on this nothing narrative with her and Xavier. It just was completely pointless to me. And it
was so like, why?
Yeah, it was stupid. I didn't like it at all. It felt very like CW.
Literally. All right. Whitney asks Derek X if he knew what was going to happen, and he says he didn't and is hoping he can get picked for veto and somehow is able to keep both of his teammates safe. Which, I mean, if he won, he obviously would have saved Hannah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He would have done that.
Yeah. He wouldn't save Whitney.
Yeah, no.
Hannah is planning to pick DX if she gets house guest choice at the veto drawing, and he plans to honor that by saving her, which I just talked about. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
He talks to Alyssa about what to do, and she says that he should get to play in the veto and take Hannah down. But if Christian wins veto, he should tell him to keep noms the same to ensure Whitney goes home. In reality, she wants him to do this because she feels he would do what's best for the royal flush. DX feels like he's kind of in the middle of everything, but also has to get picked for the veto first.
So, general impression here, DX absolutely should not have wanted to win this veto because of the way, like, selfishly, yeah, he wants to take Hannah down. Obviously, he wants to do that. He doesn't want Hannah to be on the block. But I think in terms of like his overall game, it's a good thing he did not end up winning this veto, because I think this really could have fucked him over, especially with Alyssa trying to convince him to like take Whitney down or not use it. I think there were just too many promises he had made at that point, and I think if he had won the veto, it really could have been bad for him. So I'm happy that he didn't win the veto, but I also feel like he should not have wanted this veto like at all.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, it would have been sweet if he saved Hannah, but it just wouldn't be really good.
Yeah, but I also think it would have like totally showed their cards as well.
Yeah, like maybe another time, not this time. Yeah. At the veto drawing, Claire, DX, and Azah are picked to play, in addition to Hannah, Whitney, and Christian. So we're hoping for, I mean, I would love if Hannah got to win veto and save herself.
Yeah, we'll talk about what happens, though.
Tiffany and Hannah talk about how Sarah Beth reacted when not getting picked for veto and how she's the one that's been pushing hard for her all week. This motivated Hannah to gun that much harder for the veto this week.
Again, amazing work from Tiffany here. Like the way that she completely was able to take Hannah under her wing, basically tell her like everything that's going on, and really try to pit those two against each other. It's really good for Tiffany, because something that they don't really talk about, in this episode is that Tiffany's really good with Alyssa and Christian. Like she's not on their radar at all. So she's really kind of like putting herself in the middle here between the two showmances. And I think you can see that Sarah Beth is kind of throwing a wrench in that. And by targeting Sarah Beth, I think that's really good for Tiffany. But again, Sarah Beth should not have been gunning that hard for Hannah, because it really is backfiring on her already.
Yeah, Tiffany's doing really well. She's really impressing me.
Oh, her most impressive stuff's in the next episode, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. The veto competition happens, and it's yet another comp involving a ramp.
Yeah, there was like an obsession with ramps this week. That's why I thought that was a little weird.
I know. And with his 4th comp win in 4 weeks, Christian once again wins the veto.
I just don't know why he'd want to win this. Like, he
didn't need another comp win.
But here's the thing, like, he doesn't seem fazed by it at all. There's never a point in this episode or even on the feeds where he's been like, oh my God, I should not have won this. I should not have won this. Like, he's not thinking about the fact that he's won a lot. And like, he definitely has a very strong resume already. Yeah. And like, he's definitely someone that can win comps when he needs to. Like, I don't think he's so going to be hard for this veto. I really think Hannah should have won.
He's no spoilers, but he might be targeted.
Yeah. So we then get this really interesting moment where everyone's talking about the possibility of teams still being a thing after this week and someone having to go on slop. And Whitney overhears DX saying that him and Hannah would have to, which makes her feel like she's probably going home this week, especially since he seems to know that she is. And she's like, what the fuck? Why do you know I'm going home? So, especially because, you know, we're on the same team. So DX decides to just take this opportunity, tries to apologize to her, but Whitney just seems over it. She's like, nope, it's already, you know, damage is already done. And she wants to use this as ammunition to target him next week. And I don't understand why at this point she thinks she's still going to be here. I feel like it's pretty known that like she's going out. I will say she does put in some good work here where she goes over to Christian. This wasn't a bad idea. And she basically tries to pitch him to put Derek X up and take her down, and that she would work with him moving forward. And while, and you know, I don't think this was a bad move for her to do. But again, like I've been saying, it was too late. This was something she should have done a while ago, not when he was HOH. And if she was going to do it when he was HOH, she should have done this at the beginning of the week. She should have pitched to him like, hey, you know, if you need a replacement nominee, maybe put up Derek X. But I think she used what was honestly, I think, just a careless mistake as a legitimate reason to target him. And I just don't think that it was a strong enough reason. Like, I think that it was pretty set in stone that she was going to go. And I don't think I should take that as like, I need to target Derek X. I think she should have taken it as, oh my God, I'm leaving this week. I need to do something to try to correct that and campaign against Hannah. Instead, she's campaigning for someone else to go on the block. And I just don't understand why she thought that he would even do that. I mean, rarely do I ever see the HOH win the veto and then change their nomination. It just isn't something that usually happens in Big Brother. I'm sure it's happened before, but it just doesn't happen recently. So I just don't.
It doesn't really happen often.
Yeah, I just don't know why she thought this was going to work. So we get to the veto ceremony. Christian obviously does not change his nominations. He does not want to take a shot at his alliance member yet. So with all the power this week, he ultimately decides to keep the noms the same. Whitney and Hannah remain as the final noms for this week. Now getting into Thursday, immediately Julie drops a bit of a bomb on us, but it's one that we should have saw coming, where basically we're told early on that by the end of the night, the teams are no more. Teams are done. And honestly, I'm here for it. I will say, I think that the teams worked out pretty well this year. I wasn't annoyed by it. I think that the cast themselves really played around it very well. But it was something.
I definitely think the team twist was really well done, and the wildcard comp was unique too. But now it's like individual, and now it's just regular Big Brother.
Oh yeah, I do think it was overall better than, like, say, the fucking one they did in BB Can. It had a little bit more of a purpose to it. It felt like there was more going on, and I also felt like it kind of benefited some of these house guests and the alliances and things like that. So like, I enjoyed the team twist this year, but I'm glad that it is not continuing. So we are told that, but we then see Whitney, and she believes that Hannah is for sure the bigger threat and that they need to keep her around. And here's the thing. She's not wrong. Like, she's not wrong at all. Hannah's
she's not wrong.
No.
Obviously, it's smart to get out Hannah, but I don't want that.
The problem is they just don't have the numbers. Like, that's the thing. They just don't have the numbers at that point. But we see Tiffany feels closest to Hannah within the cookout. The two are really thinking alike. And we see they've solidified a bit of a final two at this point. And basically, she feels that she should be safe this week as long as Sarah Beth doesn't control things too much. And we see as they're doing this, Sarah Beth tries to spy on them, but she's not very slick about it. It's really just like if we were here having a conversation and then you just saw me like peeking in from like this back corner. Like, it was so obvious what she was doing. She was not slick about it at all. And this puts her even further on Tiffany's radar. And you don't want to be on Tiffany's radar. That is for sure. You do not want to be on her.
Sarah Beth needs to talk to Tiffany too, and Claire, because they were a trio.
Yeah, I don't know if she can really get back in with them with the way that things happen this week. And also,
I can see Claire and her teaming up, but it's hard with Tiffany.
I don't think there's any patching up things with her and Tiffany, unfortunately, especially with the way things played out. But maybe. Yeah. I mean, you never know. It's always possible.
We'll see. Yeah. Sarah Beth talks about how Kyland is really the only person she's being loyal to at the moment. Kyland does feel close to her as well, but if having to make the choice, the cookout is where his loyalties fully lie. And Tiffany,
yeah, I like that we got to see a little more of Sarah Beth and Kyland. I feel like that's something that we saw like his HOH week, and we haven't really seen it since then. So I like that we see the bond that is forming between them, but how he is ultimately going to choose the cookout overall.
Yeah. But I do like his friendship with Sarah Beth, though.
Oh, yeah.
Tiffany talks to Kyland about how even though the cookout is their main alliance, they need a few more numbers in order to get to jury.
And this was amazing. Like, honestly,
I love this so much.
Some of the best, like, you want to talk about top tier strategy. This is one of the most genius strategies I've seen from a Big Brother player in a while, honestly, and without hyperbole.
She's so good.
Oh, yeah.
She wants to see two members of the cookout in the final two seats. She feels they need to partner with someone outside the six. So they're looked at as a duo, but also will have the numbers in order to stay safe. Hannah has DX, Tiffany has Claire, Kyland has SB, and Azah has Britini. The only person she's threatened by is SB, but wants to wait on it because of her closeness with Kyland. This will also ensure they always control the vote, which this was brilliant.
Oh, yeah. This was such a good move and makes a lot of sense because, like, let's say you and I are in, like, a dominant alliance, you know, but people want to use the fact that we're a duo, that's suddenly stronger. People are scared of it, too, rather than a big alliance, and they also don't know that big alliance exists. And we also have side deals with other people that can throw the scent off of that, too. So I think this is a genius play by Tiffany. The only crack that I really see, besides the Sarah Beth and Kyland of it all, Azah and Britini, I don't see them being as close as some of the others. I'm not entirely sure.
I think they're like working together, but they're not like, I don't see them.
I think it's also because of the teams. I think once the teams are done, like, I think Britini's really gonna find loyalties elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't think it's like permanent.
Yeah, definitely. So
or long term.
I do think that, you know, DX and Claire and SB, I think that's really good for them. And I think that is something that she can really pull off if she wants to make sure this works. But there's a couple more steps in that. What are those steps, Allie?
All right. Of course, the first step in making sure this plan goes through is by making sure Hannah is kept safe this week.
Right, obviously. An
ongoing issue also seems to be Kyland's protection of SB. This is specifically shown when Tiffany doesn't get a good morning from either of them. And while she is willing to drop it, Kyland keeps bringing it up and feels their connection could be threatening to her in the future.
This was really interesting because it's very simple. It's literally just like, oh, she didn't wish me good morning. But Kyland keeps like talking about it, almost like he's trying to protect SB. When truly, I don't think Tiffany was that affected by it at all. But I think Kyland, rallying so hard and like trying to really defend Sarah Beth really exposed how strong their connection really is. And I think Tiffany is very much threatened by it, because I think Sarah Beth's mission is that she wants Kyland to basically be her puppet. And I think he sees like the kind of game that Kyland is playing. And I don't think Sarah Beth is beneficial for his game really at all at this point. I think he needs to kind of drop her, but with the way that things are going, I don't know if he's actually going to do it.
Mm-hmm. She also realizes that Azah doesn't seem to include Hannah within the cookout overall,
which is kind of problematic. Hannah is definitely in the cookout, and Tiffany definitely needs her to be in the cookout as well. So, but Whitney then decides to talk to Alyssa, because Whitney smartly realizes that this is not really Christian's HOH. It's very much Alyssa's HOH.
Pretty much.
Christian literally said he didn't know what to do. His alliance pretty much controlled his HOH the entire time. But she makes a pitch to her, says that she doesn't really want Whitney to go personally, because Hannah would be more dangerous as an HOH. She also could get into Christian's ear and persuade him to do things for her, which gives him the idea that maybe she should be the target. Maybe Hannah should be the target here. But again, it's just too late. Like, I think this is really something that should have, like, Whitney really should have taken advantage of Alyssa in the game, because I do truly think Whitney is good for Alyssa's game. I don't think that Whitney is a target for Alyssa. I think the only reason that Alyssa targets Whitney is because of the teams. I think if the teams aren't a thing, I think those two probably end up working together. And, you know, I think that probably is more beneficial for her. But again, doing it so late in the game, it's like at that point, the vote's already been decided. There's no point in, like, it's a valiant effort, but it's just effort. Like, that's all it is. Like, you're literally just putting in unnecessary effort at this point. And it just wasn't going to happen. But Whitney did try to put in some work to fight for her to stay, but it simply isn't enough. And she's evicted unanimously, which I wasn't expecting, honestly. Here's why I wasn't expecting it.
I thought it would be either unanimous or maybe like one vote for her.
Here's why I wasn't expecting it. With the way the week played out, Sarah Beth being so adamant about Whitney, about wanting Hannah out, Alyssa repeatedly stating that she wanted Hannah out, I don't understand why they didn't just vote for Hannah. I don't get it. I don't get why Sarah Beth didn't just.
Sarah Beth told Christian that she would vote how he wants.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. But if I'm Sarah Beth, I just stick with my gut. You know, people already know that I targeted Hannah. She's made it no secret that she wanted Hannah out. Just fucking vote for Hannah. Like, I don't really understand it.
But Alyssa probably just wanted to do what the plan was.
I guess, yeah. I was just very surprised that those two ended up voting for Whitney, because I don't think her going was beneficial for them at all.
Yeah.
But in her exit interview, Whitney feels that the main reason she was targeted was because of how much this was really, really weird. I don't know why she thought this was the case. She's like, oh, I'm a big advocate for female empowerment, and the guys were threatened by that. And look, that might be the case, but we didn't see anything about that all season.
No, we did not.
This has zero relevance in anything.
That's not relevant at all.
Yeah, like if like this really should have had more of an effect on the season, but it didn't. So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But she makes it clear she isn't afraid to make big moves, while Hannah is far more subtle, which is why she's still there, because Hannah, I think the thing is, like, Whitney is willing to make those big moves, but she didn't make those big moves at the right time. She tried to do it, like, right as she's getting voted out, and that's just not the time to do it. The time to do it was, like, way before that, and she didn't. So I think that's why she ultimately got voted out. But basically, she also feels that Christian didn't go for DX because of the men versus women narrative, which I just don't think is a thing. I don't think that's really a big factor in this game. I've heard people bring it up, and I just don't think that's a factor in the game overall. But I do think that the women are far superior to the men this season. But
I mean, the men may have won the comps, but the girls are controlling the game.
Very much so, yes, and we love that. But I don't think it's like men versus women at this point, like at all.
No.
But Julie tells Whitney about, and this was weird to me. She tells Whitney about the royal flush, completely leaves out the cookout. And I didn't understand that. Like, the cookout is way more prominent than the royal flush, which is probably getting disbanded the second the team twist is over. So like, I don't understand why she included the royal flush here. I guess the only reason she did was because of DX. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't need to talk about the royal flush, because she should have, but talk about the cookout as well. Like the cookout, and this is what really pisses me off. Last season, every single vote, she would constantly bring up the committee. Even if it didn't have any relevance in the vote, she would say, oh, you got outplayed by the committee. This person was in the committee. They ended up controlling the vote, even if that wasn't the case. And then here, she doesn't even bring up the cookout. So, like, what the fuck?
That was so weird. And not the committee.
Yeah, no, literally, like, the cookout is the main alliance of this season. That's the main reason that Whitney's gone, is because the cookout was a thing and they wanted to keep that alliance intact.
Exactly.
I don't understand why it wasn't brought up, but whatever.
The cookout's a very strong alliance.
Oh, yeah. At this point, I mean, I don't see how one of them doesn't win the game. I mean, they've literally just dominated the whole thing, and it's amazing how much control this alliance has really had. But I also think they've done it in a way where it's very subtle and people are not going to pick up on it. Or if they do, I don't think they're going to care, because I think that everyone individually, minus maybe Azah or Kyland, I think everyone really likes. So I think that, and DF just isn't a threat because he's just so fucking messy in that way. You know, so I think they're doing some good work.
Yeah. Julie then breaks the news to the house guests that the Team Twist and wildcard comps have officially come to an end. And
I don't know if you noticed this, but when she was giving the announcement, they thought it was going to be a double. That's what they were worried for.
Yeah, I know.
They were prepared for a double eviction, and I was like, it is literally 950. Like, it's not a double.
The doubles also are like first and second juror.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, this would not have been the time to do a double eviction. Would have been cool, I guess, but like, it's too early for it. Usually they do it earliest is like last pre-juror into jury.
Yeah, that's usually what they do.
So these days it's more like first and second juror, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that's usually when a double happens.
It's now time for the next HOH comp of the season, which is in fact the first endurance, and all the house guests have to stand on the wall, and the last to remain will win the next HOH, which is
of course we know who won. We don't need to get into it. No spoilers. Yeah. We'll talk about it next week.
And Julie also makes an announcement that the next big twist of the summer will include the audience, so it's probably bound to suck.
Why do you do this to us? Why do you do this right when we're loving the season?
Is it like
there isn't a twist that is dramatically affecting the game?
What's it going to be like? America's HOH?
My worry is that America's really stupid and they like to root for the people that we don't want. So I feel like this is going to go to like fucking Alyssa or Christian, because for some reason they always like to give the showmances things. Again, I don't know what this is going to be. This could be a third nominee. This could be like a care package thing. It could be something where you just like bestow an advantage to like a house guest anonymously. Yeah, it could be a majority of things, but whatever it's going to be, like, I'm not excited for it.
Me neither.
Because I don't like audience influence. I never have. Because the reason I don't like it is because, like, the audience doesn't really do, at least most of the time, what you want them to. It's like the audience does almost the opposite. Like, let's look back at the care packages. A lot of the people that won the care packages very much shouldn't. Looks at Michelle. I don't understand why a lot of people ended up winning those care packages for sure. And so I just feel like this isn't going to be anything that great. And maybe it's not going to be anything that big, but like when it's audience influence, I'm just expecting for it to be shit. Like, that's the thing. I'm always expecting for it to be terrible. So we're bracing ourselves for this twist.
I hope it's good, but we'll see.
bracing ourselves for this twist for sure, because I'm not.
I have like low expectations at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I'm preparing for the absolute worst, but maybe it won't be too bad. We'll see. I mean, there's always a possibility that it could be not terrible, but I'm not holding out too much hope. But yeah, that concludes everything that went down on this week. Like we said, pretty straightforward, but a little bit less so. I think the way things were
it was a good week.
though, this is definitely the right week to end the team phase because there's a lot of dynamics heading into the next week, especially when it comes to I think a lot of these teams are the only team I see being loyal to each other still are the Queens and like the Jokers. Jokers, because I feel like they have to. They're very much at the bottom, especially if your name is Derek F. or Britini. I think they're very much at the bottom right now. And of course, this is discarding what happened. Like, we are not bringing up what happened.
The Jokers are definitely the weakest team.
Absolutely, yeah. They really did flop, and Frenchie really set the tone for their team as a whole. I think that the Kings are probably going to stick together, but I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go. But like, you know, in terms of like the Queens, I don't know I'm not really sure what's going to happen in terms of the teams, but I do think there are a lot of people that are veering off in their own directions, especially with, you know, say Sarah Beth, for example, and some of the people on her team. I think her and Xavier are not going to see eye to eye. I think that the Queens, even I think Kyland and Tiffany are starting to like butt heads a bit, and you can kind of see that with like the Sarah Beth of it all. So I think we're going to start to really see some interesting dynamics within the house guests here, especially with the teams wrapped up. So I do think if, you know, they were to wrap it up, I think this is the right time to do it. Also, to answer your question here, absolutely the person to win is Tiffany. I want Tiffany to win this game. Just the strategy put into it.
At the moment, I'd say Tiffany or Hannah, but also I would love, I mean, if Claire and Sarah Beth start doing a lot, then I would also be fine with them winning.
I'm very down on a Claire win, I gotta say. I'm not really.
Well, I mean, yeah, she hasn't done a whole lot because she's just been really under the radar. But like, if she starts like doing more in jury, then like maybe she'll deserve it more.
It's very unlikely at this point, I think, for her to win, especially with that power. I think that's really going to end up hurting her, but we'll have to see what happens.
And then like with this, I would be good with this Kyland win. And Sarah Beth win would be very interesting too, because like I do love her.
I don't think she can. I think she's pissed too many people off.
Yeah, who knows, if she gets there, she definitely deserves it.
Yeah.
She just has to make some moves. And
not Derek F. No, we do not.
No, not Derek F.
I don't think he can. I literally don't think he has. I don't think he knows what's going on in the game. He literally can't cast a vote for an eviction. Like he literally.
But also,
we had to correct him this week. Like.
Yeah, but with the Sarah Beth win, it would be cool just because like she has like that villainous vibe now.
Yeah.
Which I'm always here for.
Going in a more villainous direction. I just don't think that with the way she's playing, I don't think she can win the game. I think that right now the front runners are absolutely like, say, Tiffany, Hannah, and Xavier. I think Kyland was a front runner, but I think
he's doing well.
Yeah. I think Kyland was a front runner, but I think with the way that he's very close with Sarah Beth, I think that's really going to end up hurting his game than helping at this point. I think, like I said, I think those three are really the front runners right now, with Tiffany being the obvious one, like in the lead. I think just no one has the strategy. Nobody's thinking ahead as much as she is. And I don't think anyone has as much control as she does right now. And I think that's just really impressive with the way things are going. Overall, just really impressed by this week overall. I really do like the direction that this season is overall heading in. And, we'll see what happens as we head further into jury.
It's so good so far, and I'm just excited.
Yes. Anything else you want to say?
Well, I mean, obviously I don't want to spoil too much of this next round because obviously that's going to be the next episode. But we're all in for a real treat for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But Anyways, guys, that's it for our review of this week of Big Brother 23. If you're watching at fucking 3 a.m, thank you all for just being cracked with us and staying up and watching this. We really do appreciate that for sure. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. We will have a guest next time. Hopefully, we will have a guest. Okay, bye.
Bye.